Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the episode of Just Say Guay. I'm your host, George Guay. Today I'm joined by Bruce Mandell of Hartford Athletic. He's the chairman of the team. Bruce, thanks for being on the show.
Great to be here, George. Looking forward to talking with you.
Yeah, so you're pretty much in the off season right now for the team. We were at a game not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, with my dad. How's this all been, the off season?
I mean, it's crazy. Like what I love about sports is like the season ends and you just put it away and you start thinking about the next season. Obviously, you're even thinking about it before the season ends, but it feels like fresh and enlivening to get out there. Heavy recruiting season right now, so you're building something from scratch again, really, in our league. Uh, there's a lot of transition of players, so it's really fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be an exciting off season. Another season for the USL coming up. So I just want to backtrack with you. Where did your passion for soccer begin?
I played soccer as a kid. I was captain of my high school team. Um, Decided to play golf in college instead of soccer, and they did play. We did have a fall season in golf too, so I had to make a choice. But I kept playing and had two daughters, and they were awesome soccer players, and started kicking it around a little bit, and then joined like under 40 league and was blowing it up, leading scorer and stuff. I was having a blast. I played better older in life than younger. I think it's relative speed kind of thing, but I love the game. I had a lot of European friends, and growing up, I'm almost 60, and growing up, they really introduced me to world soccer, right? And what that meant. And it was a totally different world than American sports, and watching on VCR and stuff like that. And I got really excited about it. So I kind of had a good soccer kind of world knowledge. But so that was my passion. I love all sports, George. Like there's not a sport I don't love, and I would say I love some sports more than soccer, actually.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love sports? And it's what the game of soccer has brought to the world. Even in the United States, we'll get more into it later. But what's it been like also with the game of soccer in the United States, just how much it's grown throughout your life?
Yeah, it's really incredible, and it's listen, this is an old game, right? I mean, these teams in England have been around for over 100 years. Same thing in Brazil. Same thing. There's like this infrastructure that's built around the world. We don't have it. We just don't have it for a lot of different reasons. But over time, we're building it. And recently, there's been some big changes. The MLS is getting much stronger. They've made some really smart moves. Obviously, the Messi thing is the icing on the cake, but their Apple deal combined with Messi, that's really important because it's more eyeballs, more kids watching, more kids getting excited, and we're competing against all the other major sports. And we want the best talent in soccer. And to get it, you got to have the excitement and the great players around it. So big changes. We have the World Cup coming up in 2026 in America, and it will be actually at Gillette um, and down at MetLife. So the Northeast is going to be loaded. So just keeps accelerating, George. A ways to go, and there's reasons for that, but we're on a trajectory uh, to be one of the best soccer nations in the world. That's everyone in the world says it. They all say it. Just no matter when America gets it right.
Yeah, we want that. I mean, I want that for some, especially because I played soccer growing up. It is amazing to see how players that grew up here are playing in the Premier League now in Germany and things like that. It's what you want, especially because we're very good at other sports in the world as well on the big scale. But definitely want soccer to be up there as well. We'll get more into the World Cup later on, but just want to talk about your business background because in order to be high up with a sports team, you have to have success in the business world as well. I was just wondering if you could talk about what your background is with that.
Yeah, sure. I'm a lawyer by trade, and then I left that to join a family business in like 1991 or two, and over time took that over, and pretty much by like 98 or so, I was really running the show and really building it out, and um, and I've had a lot of stuff. That's a printing business. We're in like the exciting world of direct mail, so people fortunately are still mailing and having success with that, which is great. We have about 1,200 employees in multiple locations, and it's actually a business that continues to grow. So I love leading it. It's in my blood. It's over 30 years now. And with our success there, um, we always had a philosophy as a family that we make money to be solid and be good, but also to give it away and to improve other people's lives. And we've held to that. And um, we do it, a lot of it's local in the greater Hartford area. But the reason, just to segue, that I got into soccer business was because I wanted to do something really big for Hartford. So it was really a way to do something positive for the community, which Hartford's a very poor city and it doesn't have the resources, underutilized resource city, and it didn't even have a stadium, George. Like the capital of Hartford didn't have a stadium where the high school teams could play their, high school. It made no sense. So that really bugged me. And my idea was to build a stadium. And then to build a stadium, you need to have an anchor tenant. And the anchor, so it really started community, stadium, and then I chose soccer to be the anchor tenant. That's how it really went. It wasn't a dream to own a professional soccer team, and then I backed in it. It went the other direction. So I love business. I still am running my printing company every day, full-time job. Soccer for me as chairman is not. I have an amazing CEO, and so it's I'm involved, but I can't dedicate like 100%. I wish I could, George. Wouldn't that be fun to really dedicate it the time?
For sure, and it's really impressive, like you said, the longevity of the business that you're in, and just to keep it going, it's very impressive. How challenging is it to sometimes make the adjustment of running a soccer team and maybe not running it like a business at times? Because we do see some professional owners and chairmen where they take the same approach, but I'm sure you've learned so far that you kind of have to make them a bit different.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's the hardest business I've seen from an operational level. You really have two major components because you have this, the professional, actual on-field soccer side, and then you have this commercial piece to it. And how you focus on each of those, and they actually, at times, they bump into each other in terms of priorities and interests. And I think managing that in the soccer world, in probably all professional sports, is really difficult. The economics of the operation year to year is really a losing proposition. You're not making money. Best case, you could break even. We are not. But best case, and very, very few clubs in the entire world do that. What you do is you build up value, and eventually you can monetize that, sell it. But along the way, really challenging, George. Really, it's totally different than a business where you're doing well and you're making money, so you can invest and you can grow and you can build your people and you can have awesome benefits and all, because there's that structure and those dollars to do it. Soccer's not like that. American sports, all sports are not like that. It's a different model, very difficult.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I can only imagine how difficult those decisions must be. So I just want to talk about in terms of Connecticut. You're in Hartford, but is it motivating just to be around the teams in the area? Just I see this a lot in Boston. It seems like the owners are and the business side of the teams are constantly pushing each other to win championships. That's why we've gone on this big run in Boston. But you have UConn win the national championship, Quinnipiac win the Frozen
Yep.
Four, and you got a couple other teams in the area in Hartford, like the Yard Goats and the Wolf Pack, that have a lot of great prospects coming up through those teams to play in the pros. I mean, does having all that motivate you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. And the other piece of that is these other teams and the ownership groups are very collaborative. So we're competing in some ways, but most of the time we're actually trying to learn from each other and grow. How can we leverage relationships? What did they learn on a concession contract that I could learn, or in a merch contract? So I think it's like a community, George, that builds together. I wonder, Boston is a higher level, right? I mean, you guys are playing for the biggest championships in the world, and I think that's probably different. And maybe I don't know if it's more or less collaborative, but at our level, we're all kind of like trying to make it, trying to grow. Yes, UConn wins the national championship. Yes, Quinnipiac wins one. That says, okay, we could do it out of this amazing small state. we're willing to fight Massachusetts at any point. We're willing to take you guys on 1v1. I mean, I used to remember George going to Whaler games, and the Boston fans would come down and kick our butts. You beat us on the ice, and then you beat us up physically after the games. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely it's becoming a stronger sports culture in Connecticut, and winning does that. So just want to talk about what it was like to see it all come together, because you've been with this from the start. That first game in Hartford, past Jesse Guegas, Max Steves scores the first goal. I was just wondering, what was it like just to not only see it come together for you guys from the game, but also just the community? Because I go to a lot of those games and you guys come out in full force from a fan's perspective. What was it like just seeing it all complete in a way?
It was really incredible. The fans really turned out, and they've stayed with us. And we have not had a winning team, really. I mean, we made the playoffs once, but we're not a winning franchise yet. We will be, but we're not. So what is it that draws these fans? And I think your point about Connecticut and the fan base being so strong. The second piece was the sponsors. Like, we don't have a team if the big companies in Connecticut don't support. We literally do not have a team. We cannot get through without that. So they stepped up. And then we had to work with the state and the mayor to build the stadium, which they contributed to. We contributed and they contributed. So to pull those pieces together was incredible. And it took a lot of time. It took about 3 years to do it. So when you kick off that first, kick it at home, and Max Steves, of all guys, 6'4", from Providence College, bangs one in. It felt great. It felt great. And George, I think it's a good point, because we still draw on that sense of accomplishment, because there's a lot of hard things that happen in sports, right? Players don't perform, coaches have trouble, we don't sell this, but if you draw that, hey, we built the stadium, we brought the community together, and we deliver an unbelievable fan experience, then that's not me saying it, that's our fans. So we've done that. The next piece is winning on the field, and we're putting together a team to do it.
Yeah, definitely. So what is the most difficult part of that in terms of your job? Because, I was at the game with you a couple weeks ago, and we're talking about big changes with the team, and you bring in other people in from the outside. How tough is it to balance the idea of saying, hey, there's some things that we can run back, but some things that just, aren't acceptable and have to be changed?
It's really difficult, especially, to be honest, because I'm not running the day-to-day. So I think there's a challenge there where from my experience, I can see certain things, but I'm not there to execute it. So I really have to get my team to grow and develop so that they can execute. And that's a process. That building that culture doesn't happen overnight. And that I think is the biggest challenge, is really building a winning culture. I mean, you see it with Belichick. Look at the Patriots, 30 years ago, look at them now, right? It's like building that culture. Red Auerbach did it with the Celtics, right? And I bet you their commercial office had the same winning kind of mentality under Red that the team under Heinsohn or Russell or whatever on the court. I bet you they had the same mentality. We're still growing that, George, and that makes every decision a little trickier, because we're not a mature organization yet. So we're moving towards that. And that's a challenge, I think.
Yeah, it's obviously a lot of tough decisions have to be made, but it seems like you guys are having the right mindset and doing the right things to make sure that a winning team can come next season. What's the challenging thing like with bringing in a lot of these players who are so young, not even to be in college yet? I mean,
Yeah.
how do you help those guys out in terms of just not only adapting to a new country and a new style of the game, but just to handle those expectations?
It's really difficult. And in our league, I would say half the roster is foreign born players. Some of them have green cards, but half probably from all over the world and playing for national teams across the world. To bring these guys in and create create a team environment that cares about each other, very difficult. And then to your point, you have different ages too. We have everything from 33 down to 16 or 17, literally playing pro soccer. Imagine, a 17-year-old stepping out in front of 7,000 people and what that feels like. So, you got to have a great structure around them. Again, I look at Hartford Athletic as a growing organization. We're committed. We're going to get it done. We have the great support, but we're not there, and we're still learning. And we see that. So your point on building a team, it takes all of us to do that. From the team administrator that's got to find them the right, place to live. We totally screwed up in year one. We put some guys in a place that was not appropriate. Like, it wasn't intentional, but we made a mistake. You get better and better. You learn. But the goal is to make this business similar to the other business I run, the printing business, which is just a culture that's built on winning, growing, developing. But we're still working on it, George. We're not quite there yet, but I think we know we're going to get there.
Yeah, it's so great to have those goals and to know that you are taking the right steps. It's just so hard with a new team to make it work right away. I mean, the only team I've seen right away is probably the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
happen like that, and it was just so rare. But yeah, it takes time. So I just want to talk about USA Soccer. We did talk about how much it's grown over your lifetime, but what's it like seeing how fast it's growing just leading up to this World Cup? I mean, you had that game a couple weeks ago in Hartford. What was that like for you guys?
I mean, yeah, USA Germany game, and it was incredible. Sold out Rentschler Field for a friendly. The level of play was incredible on both sides of the ball, but you could see a little bit more from Germany actually. But both sides of the ball, incredible. The fans that came, and it wasn't a nice day. They showed up. They paid serious money to go. Yeah, it's moving. I would say a third to a half of the players on the USA team play abroad, including Christian Pulisic and a bunch of other players. So, we are now entering into the rest of the world and with volume, George. It's not the exception anymore. It's volume. And I think the key change in American soccer that I've seen the last 3 years is the MLS has figured out, and they run American soccer. Don't get that wrong. It's not U.S. Soccer Federation. It's the MLS. They figured out that they could develop players and sell them to Europe, and that would be a good thing. That would actually be good, not a bad thing. That doesn't mean that your league's not good enough, right? Even if it isn't good enough. But what that means is you're making money, right? So they sold the Revs sold Turner to Arsenal for, I don't know, $15 million or something like that, right? It's like, wait a minute. When people see that, George, when kids see that, when kids playing academies see that, all of a sudden they have a goal now that's realistic if they're that good, right? But they're not being pushed back by the MLS to keep them in America. Opening that spigot has a change all the way down from U8 up to academies and into the young pro leagues and college. It really changes the game. And and the money kind of talks, right? And now the kids are starting to see there is a path. There is a path in soccer to make some serious money. And I think that's a huge change, a subtle change, but a huge change.
For sure. It's going to be exciting, 3 years out, less than 3 years. I can't wait. Just in terms of, a personal level of seeing all that happen, how much did it mean to you? Because for me going to the games, like I knew that was going to be a filled stadium in Hartford. And I know you did too, given how passionate the fans are. But what did it mean to get that recognition for the city, knowing that in a game that's broadcasted around the world, that Hartford's a great place to go see a soccer game?
I mean, over the years, it's incredible. We're always ranked, Hartford, the greater Hartford area, as one of the top 5 areas for watching, whether it's the Premier League, the World Cup. We're always ranked there. And I think the basic reason is we have a great immigrant community. Like, we're the second step, right? You may come into New York, but then you come on up to Hartford when the families start to grow. And, there's no nationality that's not represented. We had a game the prior year at Rentschler it was a Champions League game that had NYCFC against a Guatemalan team, Comunicación. And they had like 18,000 people there on a rainy night in November, and they were paying $100 a ticket. Okay. So like, wow. I mean, the fans are there, and I think the world notices that. And Renter's not big enough to hold a World Cup, and the MLS runs the show, so that's going to be Gillette, right? But we'll probably have a training center in Hartford, and we'll probably get a really good team there. We are right between New York and Boston, and Europe looks at us as like a great location to come and play, an awesome location. So, yeah, we're really excited about that. The women's team does amazing at Rensselaer too. You know, Landon Donovan had his retirement game there. Like there's a couple spots in the U.S. that, like, Columbus has a spot where they play a lot of games. Hartford's one of those spots. Kind of exciting, George.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, you make good points. Right in between MetLife and Gillette, where the final could be, and obviously I think the quarterfinal or semifinals. So when I was at the game with you a couple weeks ago, we talked about the growth of the game from a youth perspective. How important do you think this World Cup is to them? Just because of the fact that for people like me, our memories are, Landon Donovan scoring that goal to advance in the from the knockout stage. Saw the women's team win a few World Cups. But how important is it for a group of players from the ages of maybe 5 to 10? Their first memory of USA soccer is going to be a World Cup and hopefully a run.
What's interesting. You're 100% right, but what's also interesting is Messi, because it's like they built this pathway to the World Cup, and Messi's going to keep playing through to the World Cup, and so they've built this incredible pathway of excitement. Every young kid is wearing the pink Messi jersey, which means they're thinking soccer, and then once they're thinking soccer, we got them. And then, oh, wow, hey, by the way, the greatest teams in the world are going to be here in 2026. So, listen, each time, it'll be 35 years since our last World Cup. And, that time flies, but that first World Cup that we held accelerated American soccer. It took a little time, but accelerated it to another level. We didn't have a pro league at that time that was doing anything. The NASL had collapsed. MLS wasn't really there. It created the MLS, really. What's it going to create? What's the next one going to create? And I think the USL, our league, which is the second tier, right below MLS, we want MLS to succeed. The higher MLS goes, we just ride up with them, right? We just kind of carry with. There's nothing in between. We just go with them. So we're thrilled to be in this moment, and I think 2026 is going to be crazy. I mean, and I love the Messi angle to it. He'll probably be playing for Argentina. Can you imagine at Gillette Stadium? You imagine a ticket price to see a semifinal, Argentina versus France with Mbappe.
Portugal, Ronaldo.
I mean. The bad news is a lot of people are going to get priced out of that. The good news is that it's going to generate incredible excitement around the world.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, people are going to pay. I mean, even if it's like double of a Taylor Swift ticket.
But by the way, George, she may have to end up dating a soccer player by that point. It may be that big. Okay.
Yeah, who knows? I think what's going to be huge, and hopefully this happens one day, is just a lot of young athletes can turn to an American-born player to root for, guys like LeBron James or Austin Matthews in hockey. Baseball, we got so many good players that can come through. If the United States gets one star, and it doesn't have to be Messi or Ronaldo, it'd be insane by then for 2026. But yeah, I'm so excited. I think it's going to be an amazing World Cup. Bruce, thank you so much for doing this. Really
appreciate it. You got it.
And we'll stay in touch, and I'll definitely get down to another game in Hartford next year.
Thanks, George. And shout out, let's go Rangers. Okay. That's for your dad. Okay. Let's go Rangers. I'll see you later. Thanks, George. I really appreciate you. You do a great job. You do an excellent job. Right, take care now.
All right, bye.